The following video contains language that may be inappropriate for young viewers. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Welcome to Behind the Bars, where we bring the unseen and the unheard stories from the depths of the prison system to the forefront. I'm your host, Jason Boss, and together we'll explore the madness, the chaos, and the harsh realities hidden behind the steel doors of prisons worldwide. From the local jailhouse to death row across the world, we'll show you the isolation, the seclusion, and the decades spent enduring unimaginable conditions. These are the stories of survival, struggle, and humanity in places most of us will never see. We're here to shine a light on what society often forgets, the voices of the incarcerated. Each story is real, each voice is authentic, and every moment reveals the raw, unfiltered truth of life behind the bars. Join me for a journey like no other, a journey into the darkness, the truth, and the resilience of the human spirit. This is Behind the Bars, real life, real stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of this podcast. This is Behind the Bars. I am your host, Jason Boss, and I have with me a very good friend, a very exciting story, and a brother who has been incarcerated for over 25 years. Without further ado, let me introduce to you Charles Mamou Jr. Chucky, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay, bro. How about yourself?
I'm alive, man. I'm alive. I'm kicking out here in the sticks. And how's your day? How's everything going with you?
Today was a difficult day, I guess, because there's no movement, no rec, no showers, nothing like that. And I just got pumped. I was glad when the phones came on. I would have called you earlier as soon as it came on, but whenever I get stressed out, I have to take a bird bath. And I know a lot of people out there are like, what the hell is a bird bath? Well, a bird bath is just you taking a quasi shower in your sink.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that calms my nerves, man. So that's why I'm late.
Oh, well, all right, man. Well, let's get on this. Let's take some stress off and see if we can get some storytelling here. Now, the last place that we left off, and everybody, you guys really, really need to hear podcast number 4. This is podcast number 5 on this incredible series. In the description below, in the description below is the way to contact Charles. There's 2 different ways. There's snail mail and there's also Securus. And we're hoping that you guys will support this guy, not just on writing, but there's multiple ways that we can support him, and we need to get our voices heard, because I believe without a shadow of a doubt that this brother has been framed, that he was railroaded, and I don't know what podcast we're actually going to make it to where we actually tell this story, but it is something that I believe enough in this brother that I am putting all the resources and everything that I have into getting these stories out to you all. So my brother, take me through the time after the heist and where are we at?
Okay, let me add a little clarity, because I'm thinking about this after we ended yesterday, and this is going to be significant later on. But when I offered Terrence Dawson a choice of a kilo of cocaine or $5,000 cash, he took the money. Now, of course, he would have took a kilo of cocaine, and he would have made 10 times as much. But he didn't, because, again, like I said yesterday, he wasn't a dealer. But the problem and the friction between he and I came in when his sister got out of jail. Stephanie is his sister. She's the one that got busted going to Mississippi. She was actually trying to go to New York, but the Greyhound bus got pulled over in Mississippi. She had 100 pounds of marijuana. And so she gets out. And when she gets out, the guy that we pulled the heist on, he tracked her down to her apartment, and a couple of him and his goons shot up the apartment, right? Shot it up, and she had, at the time, she had 3 children that was underage. And, of course, I didn't predict that was going to happen. But, when you're engaged in your own mess, you don't think about consequences of other people. But she had to move. When went and talked to her brother, like, what the hell going on? He filled in what happened. And so she was telling him that I had robbed him too because his dumb ass should have got more out of the deal. And so that's where our friction came in, because it wasn't like I gave him an option. I told him what he was going to get. He agreed to it. I just offered him cash money right then and there because he wanted to go to shopping in the mall. So I want to add that to clarity, because when Terrence Dawson falsely testifies against me, you'll understand more of how that situation occurred.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Clear. Okay.
So after that situation happened, I remember yesterday I was leaving off where it was more drama, bro. I mean, childhood friends who I was using to sell the drugs, who was working for me, started coming up short on the money because they felt like we were cool and I didn't care or I didn't need it or whatever. And that caused friction, right? So I ended up getting rid of all of my so-called friends and start doing the solo thing. I didn't hang out with the homies no more. It was just strictly business. Either you got my money, you don't. If you don't have it, then you can't get nothing else. And but what also drew me away from that was this. I realized at some point, right before all hell broke loose, that I wasn't a drug dealer. I realized I wasn't a drug dealer anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
This little conundrum where I want the lifestyle, I want the fame that comes with it. I just didn't want that also came with exchanging and buying drugs. And so yeah, that I was going to do a drug deal in Carrincro, Louisiana.
Hold on, I just broke up. Hang tight. You back?
Oh, we back.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you doing a drug deal?
So, yeah, in a small town called Carrincro, Louisiana, they had some guys there that who was buying heavy. I mean, they were some good dudes. But this particular night, one of them tried to set me up. I didn't know this at the time, so they wanted 18 ounces of cocaine. I told them, okay, I'll bring it. He told me he was going to meet me at the club. But for whatever reason, I didn't want to go in my car. So I asked another guy to bring me. He was riding around, riding around getting drunk or riding around getting high. It's like the normal thing. So he already had 3 guys that he was riding with. So he was like, I said, look, hey, you bring me to Carrincro, I'm going to do this deal, yada, yada, yada. And he says, okay, cool. So I jump in the passenger seat, and we go to Carrincro. But when we get to the club, nobody's there. We'll make a few blocks, and then I noticed an unmarked car. In Carrincro, they had a FBI agent named Iceman. So they start following us. So I tell the guy, look, I have a lady friend that lives around here. Just drop me off here, and I'm going to get her to bring me back to Sunset. And as soon as we pull in front of our house, which her parents hated me, but as soon as we pulled in the house, the cop cars came in from the back, from the front, and, yeah. So I tell the guy, the cop ordered him, the driver, to get the car. I said, look, man, whatever you do, man, do not tell them police officers that my real name. He said, all right. I said, look, if they call, so this fool get out the car. It was winter time. Well, not really winter time, but it was like late October, early November, so it was kind of cool, little fall weather, whatever. And Iceman gets out of the car, he's all decked out in his little riot gear, whatever, and he tells the guy, he says, who's in the car with you? And that fool says, Charles Mamou, a.k.a. Chucky. And I'm thinking to myself, I just told this mother, So he comes on my side of the window, and he asks me my name. And at the time, a blues song by R&B by the singer named Tyrone Davis was on the radio. So when he asked me my name, I said my name was Tyrone Davis. The reason why this is significant because if you pull up my FBI record, it's going to show that my name on the FBI record is Tyrone Davis, and that Charles Chucky Mamou is an alias. And so he said, "Do y'all have any drugs in the car?" I said, "Nah, we don't have no drugs in the car." So Iceman says, "You sure?" But the three fools that's in the back seat, one of them is a juvenile. They hide in a kite. So Iceman said, "I'm gonna call a dog. So you better not be lying." I said, "Man, we don't have no drugs. We got 18. I got 18 ounces of cocaine in a bag between my legs." And the guys in the back, they start singing like they an R&B group. Go get the dog. Go get the. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. And so he goes. He calls in more cops. So when I saw that he was going to get more cops, I made a rash decision because we was parked next to this gully. It's like a high-end ditch. And I had the drugs in a deli bag. So because it was nighttime, I opened the door, quickly threw the drugs in the gully, went to the back, met the officers in the back to get them distracted, and we all got in a fight, right? And I didn't win. So once they had me subdued, they searched the car, the dogs come. There's like 20 officers outside, and there's no drugs. They just found I had a bunch of money in my pocket, and that's it. So they take me to jail initially for resisting arrest and assaulting a police officer. But here comes this guy. He wasn't even a cop, but he was just a nosy neighbor who comes out to see what the hell was going on. He jumps in the gully and tells the police officer, "Hey, I found the bag." And so I get charged with 18 ounces of cocaine. But at the time, John Wayne Milton, who, again, the same guy that got out of trouble all those other times, I called him, and I bonded out the next day. Case dismissed.
Wow.
So, yeah, and that was pretty much, I don't want to use the term untouchable, but as long as I was in Louisiana, there was nothing that John Wayne Milton couldn't get me out of. Wow. And as long as you paid him, you wasn't going to get convicted. You wasn't going to go to trial. You wasn't going to do none of that, right? He was a damn good lawyer on both sides, but he ended up being a good friend too. And so more women came, more kids came. But I would say this for the audience, man, because I know how sometimes the truth can sound egotistical or narcissistic at times, but sometimes the truth has to be said, and it doesn't matter how you interpret it. It is what it is, and there's tons of witnesses that can verify everything I'm saying. But I do want to add this caveat, man, that at that time in my life, I was the most depressed I had ever been. I woke up every day unhappy. I woke and I didn't understand why, because I think a lot of times people in the world, we so quick to be moving around in the world, especially in today's time where everything's the internet, computers, cell phones, whatever. I didn't have all that, but I had drama. And I was keen enough to understand that the drama that I was experiencing was drama that I was creating, and it was something that I never was built for. But I forced myself to. So this is why I was always unhappy. Or if you look at my Instagram or Facebook page, you'll see the materialistic me, but in every photo, I'm not smiling. I'm serious, stone-faced type guy. And so, I wanted to add that because it may seem glamorous, man, but every day I woke up thinking if the day was gonna be the day I die, or what else is gonna happen, you know?
Wild. Okay, so you get out of jail, and where's next? Where and how old are you when you went to jail for that last little bit?
22. Around 22.
Okay, 22.
Around 22.
Okay.
Around that age, around there.
All right. So, what happens after this?
Pretty much the washing machine analogy, where it's wash, repeat, rinse. Nothing major happened. You know, yeah, there was a couple of shootouts. Yeah, there was a couple of car wrecks. Car accidents where I heard a state trooper. I actually flew off the highway because I was speeding one night and I didn't see this curve because it was a road I wasn't unfamiliar with. And when I saw it, because I was drinking too, and when I saw the curve, it was too late, so I ended up flying off the curve, off the street. And you know, they have these concrete, brick. It was a brick mailbox, but it was one of these huge big mailboxes. And I was in a runoff from Enterprise, and I actually hit that head on, knocked me out. And I don't know what the hell happened. All I remember is I don't know how much time I was there or what. I just remember hearing a voice say, "No one can survive." The engine was actually sitting a few inches from my lap. I had enough wiggle room to open the door and crawl out of there, because as soon as I heard, which was a state trooper, as soon as the state trooper told somebody else no one could have survived that car crash, I crawled out. I woke up, crawled out, came out in the people yard. The police officer drew the weapons down. I raised my hands up. They asked me if I was hurt. I'm bleeding all over the place. My head busted in 2 different spots. They asked me what happened, and instead of me taking responsibility for being drunk and driving recklessly, I said, yeah, some white guys with a Dukes of Hazzard Confederate flag ran me off the road. And that's how I ended up getting out of that situation, which was a lie. No one ran me off the road. But I suppose you could say that was the reverse racism right there, huh?
That worked.
yeah, it worked. And so yeah, man, it was just every day, man, was just something so crestfallen. It just was. Man, looking back, bro, I'm gonna say it was a sad existence, you know. And but I suppose we could move this on, because nothing more happened from the time that I'm telling you now until the time I got arrested, except this. A few months before I caught this case, I stopped selling drugs, right? I used to fly from Lafayette Airport to Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston, and that was a quicker way for me to bring drugs. This is before TSA and all that crazy stuff you got going on now. So I put on a suit and tie, briefcase, get on the plane. 45 minutes later in Houston, my dealer would pick me up from the airport. We would exchange drugs in the car. You make a circle around the airport, drop it back, and I go back in the airport, sit down, have some cold shrimp cocktails, drink some of that draft beer, and wait for my flight, my one-way ticket flight back to Lafayette, Louisiana. And I did this so much that one time I was at home and I get this phone call. But I looked on the call ID and it didn't have a name, so when I answered, I said, yes. So the voice said, Charles Mamou Jr. And I'm like, no, he's not here, you know. Can I take a message? So she was like, this is the Continental Airlines, and we just want him to know that he has, I can't remember how much frequent flyer mile or whatever, but they was offering me a free trip the next time I go to Houston because I had racked up so much mileage. And I'm like, Now, what crazy is, I might have used, because, back then, you didn't really have to show no ID to buy a plane ticket. You had to give a name, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I used Charles Lewis a lot of times, which Charles Lewis was a friend of mine. I used his name. And I might have slipped up maybe one time here or used my own name, but it didn't add up that you would call me. And how the hell you knew my number? Because I never used my number to my house. So that made me paranoid. I hung up the phone, and it was that moment of noticing that the unmarked cars would be parked outside my house. When I leave, they leave. So it was FBI that was having his own little surveillance on me, whatever. Because the noise was that I was bigger than what I was, right? And it was. I mean, I didn't do anything to squash the rumors. So when people say I had $50,000 in my when I knew I had $5,000 in my pocket, and somebody said, "Man, I saw that boy pull out $50,000 in his pocket and put it all in the mall," I didn't interject that. I just let those rules build, and eventually I'm in a lot of trouble that I didn't realize, right?
Wow. So they were onto you. I mean, you were like really close to getting nailed.
Right.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah, I had 22 felonies. So
you had what?
I was arrested 22 times for 22 felonies.
Oh.
If you pull up my FBI records, I had 22 felonies.
Wow.
Everything from grand arson to several drug busts, and I never did time for any of it because of John Wayne Milton.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like Better Call Saul or whatever it is. There's a TV show nowadays where it's the same thing, I think.
Hey, let me tell you something. Here's something that it's not funny, but I find it so humorous, man, because he's actually a Catholic priest now.
Wow.
I tell people the joke. The quickest Mariano in the state of Louisiana is now a Catholic priest. But he's my brother, man. I mean, I remember when all this mess had unfolded and the shipping chain pulled him, and when I came back, he was a DA at the time, and he was arguing cases for other people, and he stopped what he was doing and gave me a hug with everybody. So, because he's a big man.
Wow.
He's been a big old bear hug.
Wow. Okay, well, I think the next step is the actual case that you caught, and I think that we should save that for the next podcast. So, based upon, this, you were talking about your life and that, it's like as high rolling as you were and as high power that you were, it just did not complete you, and that you were sad. It sounds like a bad existence. What can you give everybody out there? What is your final words? What stuff can you give us to change the world and possibly change people's thinking, possibly change a life? Based upon, all of your struggles, all of your madness up to this point. I mean, you're almost being caught by the feds. I mean, you were probably literally really close. They probably were ready to wire you up and do all sorts of stuff. So what can you give everyone?
Man, today's society, today's youngsters, like, I'm in prison with a lot of these youngsters today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're quick to say stuff like, "You did it, so why you trying to tell me how to live now, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Now, and so I would just like to tell people, man, everything that glitters, and I know this is a cliche we all heard, everything that glitters does not mean that you're going to shine. There's a cost for everything. Everything you do illegally or immorally affects you inwardly. Yeah, you might smile, you might pop bottles, drink Dom Perignon and all this old crazy stuff, and for the moment you're happy, but for the rest of your time when you're alone, you're not. And people should not want to put themselves through the drama just for a moment of pleasure. You know, you look at Hollywood today, bro, and you see all these people who on TV screens. I'm not saying all of them, but the vast majority, they're depressed, they popping pills, and the reason why, it's not because they like getting high, it's just they're trying to cope. I have children who use drugs, right? Beautiful children, educated children, but they're trying to cope from some type of trauma where they feel neglected, unloved, or unappreciated. And we can solve many problems, but can't solve all problems. So let's talk with communicating. Sometimes I had this conversation just the other day, matter of fact, and I told my daughter, my oldest daughter, I wish I had someone who would have at least told me I was living wrong when I was in the world. I never had no one like that. Now, it doesn't mean I would have listened. Please understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying I would have listened. But what happened was I had enablers, people who, now, today, they'll tell me that I was wrong. But back then, as long as I was giving them money, helping them out, they didn't care. Consciously or unconsciously, they didn't care what I was doing because I was enabling them. They was enabling me, and I was enabling them. Mm-hmm. So they were my drug. So for all these youngsters out there, man, look, please understand that something feeling you feel is only because you're not living right. And if you want to live right, communicate, put your ego to the side, and ask for help.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Well, I think we're going to pop it on this one. Everybody, thank you very much. The description below has all the information to get a hold of Charles Mamou Jr. This has been a very exciting, a very honest interview, and I can't thank Charles enough for all of this. Everybody out there, please support Charles. Please drop him a line. And until next time, my brother, I'll see you later.
Take care.
All right.